ಬೆಂಬತ್ತಿ ತುಮಾಯ ಬೀಟನಂದರ ಬಿಡದಿ ಮಾಯ ಬಿಡದಿದ್ದರೆ ಬೆಂಬತ್ತಿ ತುಮಾಯ ಚೆನ್ನ ಮಲ್ಲಿಕಾರ್ಜುನ ದೇವ.
Namaste, Krishna sir. Welcome to Boston. Welcome to LearnQuest. We're just so honored that you're here. And we've just been to a 2-hour amazing music concert with you, where you really showed us the transformative power of classical music and moved the audience, I think, definitely at times to tears. So, thank you.
Thank you.
One, starting question I have for you is the theme of this conference is tradition, nurturing tradition through innovation. Can you speak a little bit your thoughts about how this tradition has evolved and how you see your contributions and your role towards that?
So first of all, thank you for having me. I think tradition is an interesting word. Each one takes something else from the word. Tradition can be something that is seen as a certain continuum. It can sometimes be also a burden. It can sometimes also be revealing of a present truth, in the sense that tradition is sometimes what we consider tradition may not have even been tradition. So sometimes when you look back at tradition, it's like, oh my God, we've been doing this thinking it's tradition, but it's not. So I think it's one of those it requires very serious thought. And we have to think of time and space very importantly there, because tradition is dependent on time and space. You can't take away time and space from tradition, which means where, who, when, how, right? And which is true of the present too. So even the tradition that we make today, we are making traditions too, right? We have to be sensitive to what we are doing. So I think a very important aspect tradition, irrespective of this music or not, and music more so also because it is in a way it is a cultural voice. In a way, that's what music is, right? So I think it can play a huge role in understanding past, understanding present, in making corrections in our present if we need to, in imagining a future that is even more beautiful than the present and the past. So I think we have to be acutely aware that tradition has multiple layers in it. And it's up to our sensitivity to see what are those threads that are deep in the core of it. Because around tradition is also built a lot of paraphernalia. Sometimes we mistake the paraphernalia for tradition, right? So can we remove the paraphernalia and go inside and say, what is that core spirit of music or Carnatic music or Khayal or Drupad or whatever that we want to retain? Or we would not retain is again not the right word, we'd want to continue reinterpreting, right? So I think innovation is not necessarily a separate body. And innovation in music, the act of innovation is a later happening. The act of being creative is a thought process. The moment that is part of your psyche, your thought process, innovation will happen. You don't need to do anything about it. Yeah.
So staying rooted while trying to find avenues to expand and explore. You brought up Khayal and Drupad. This conference especially has always been kind of a flag bearer of both the Hindustani traditions and the Carnatic traditions, which is a really wonderful confluence. And you, through your music and even some of your pieces today, have really explored those boundaries of, crossing those paradigms, language, ethos. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, I don't want to speak much about my own work, but I think many of these things are not something that you plan and do, or you say you want to go here, you want to do that. I don't think that's the way, at least for me, it worked. It was part of my own journey as a human being, for me to see things, to try and see if they are part of my discourse, part of my music, part of the sound And through a period of time, they started becoming part of what I sing or present, whether it is in languages, whether it is in people from diverse societies, people with diverse identities. And I just felt that all this, in a way, speaks with the music that I want to present. With this, truthfully, I won't say performance, but making art is actually a discourse with people. It's not an act for me of just giving pleasure for people to send them home. That's easy to do. Anybody with above average skill set can do that for you. Honestly, making good performance and making you clap is not rocket science. But if I want to have a discourse with you as an artist, then I'm doing something completely different, which is where I think my various journeys and various incorporations and adaptations come from. That I think they are part of a larger discourse in which, as you pointed, tradition is an important aspect. Today is very important. Tomorrow is important. And I just let it flow and bring it in. So, I don't know, I sing in many languages. I sing in many styles. I've tried to adapt it to my own voice and my own musical sensibility. But I think that's part of what I believe an artist should be doing, than just putting out successful performances. To me, that's very boring.
Can you speak a little bit to the last piece that you performed today?
So the Vachana tradition comes from a very important social movement that took place in Kannada-speaking areas, which was a very interesting movement of, which was anti-caste movement also, which was challenging caste hierarchy, and in also talking about where is this God. And in the whole Lingayat tradition, Shiva is your body. So if Shiva is your body, he says, I don't need a temple. He is my body. And the tradition had multiple people from very different caste locations and social locations, what you would call doing, people who did ordinary jobs. I'm not saying it in a hierarchical fashion, but I'm just saying women who were all speaking this way. And so I think it's a very important, if you listen to the vachanas, they're all very, just 4 words, 4 lines, 5 lines. They're very powerful. And Kodala Sangama Deva is their lord. And Mallikarjuna again. So it's a Lingayat tradition comes out of this. And the Vachanakaras are the ones who wrote the poems, which add to. So Akka Mahadevi, Basava, all of them are part of the Vachana tradition.
This conference is really about getting young people involved in our traditions, and really understanding what the discipline and the rigor behind this is, but then also the joy behind it. Are you in a world that is extremely fragmented, distracted, there's a lot of noise, there's lots of competing interests? Are you hopeful that where our traditions, our classical traditions are going, have a future with younger audiences and practitioners?
I'm far more hopeful than, I'm not even hopeful, I'm sure. I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. I think when we get older, all of us think that we know something extra about our tradition than younger people, and I think that's just an age problem. I think younger people are far smarter than us. I think they are far more understanding than us. They're far more sensitive than us. They understand the world better than us. When I was 28, 27, I never thought of the things these young people think about. So I think there's a lot for us to learn from them than the other way around, actually. And I think they'll find pathways for this art form. Maybe pathways that you and I may not like, but so what? I'm sure our grandfathers saying things like, when I was young, I used to walk on the road, I never took the car. This whole nostalgia thing is a bit overdone, I think, and we all tend to do this very often as we get older and older. And I see it as I'm hitting 50, I see I'm doing it. So ask my daughters, they will tell you. So, but I think young people will find their way, they'll find their discourse with it, and they will take it forward. I'm hoping that there will be more diverse people singing these traditions in the audience. And I think that too, the younger people will do something. Because I think the world is very different today. And I have great confidence and great trust in young people.
Thank you so much for your time. And thank you again for being here with us.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.